All right, I've worked with people for close to 20 years now. I have been a campus mentor, I've been a social worker, I have been a meditation teacher, worked as a therapist for a long time, and now I work as an executive coach and consultant. And today we're going to talk about the 10 things that may be holding you back if you're not able to do the things that you want to do in life. So the first thing I want to be clear about in all of this is that everything on this list, to some extent, has come from my own personal experience. Like when I talk about being held back and not being able to do the things that you want to do, there's no criticism, there's no judgment in that. When we go through this list and talk about the things that you are doing or not doing that are causing you trouble, like I really don't have judgment. I don't have criticism over it because more than anybody I know, I have been held back by things over the course of my life, and almost all of them were of my own choosing. And to some extent, they were all like 100% my own choosing, because even the things that were not my fault, even the things that I did not bring to my door, I responded to them poorly, and that held me back. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. This is not judgment. This is not meant to be critical. This is not meant to be some, get your shit together and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and all that bullshit. I'm not into that. That's not my thing. I think that we all grow and evolve, and we're all doing the best we can with what we have. Sometimes it is helpful for somebody to come along and say, hey, these are the things that are not working for you. These are the things that you might want to look at. And I do that in a spirit of love and wanting to see the best for you. So just keep that in mind as we go through it. None of this is criticism. None of this is judgment. It's all just things that I've learned from working with people for as long as I have. All right, so the number one thing I see that holds people back, it's a big one. It's the basis of my brand. In talking with people who learned about my life and who have been able to help me understand what's made me successful, I've realized that learning not to let this thing hold me back has been instrumental. And that thing is not recognizing the immediate opportunities around you at all times. I don't care where you are. I don't care what you're doing. There are opportunities in your life. There are things you could do differently. There are steps you could take to get a little bit closer to where you want to be. I don't know what it is about us, but as people, we oftentimes get caught up on like we let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And we think, well, if I can't have the job I want, I'm going to stay where I'm at. If I can't go to this college that I want to go to, I'm just not going to go to college. It's really a ridiculous way of thinking. It's like saying, well, if I can't have $1 million, I don't want 500,000. Like nobody would say that, but we do it on so many other things. And what we often don't realize is that the things we need, like we need to take steps to them. Like if I want to go somewhere far away, I can envision that place and I can be excited about what I'm going to do when I get there, and I can have plans. If I don't get in my car and start heading that direction or start walking there or hop in a plane, I'm never going to do it. And it's like me saying, well, I don't want to go to Disney World unless I'm just already there. It's a really bad way of approaching life, and I see it hamper a lot of people. This is especially acute right now as we have this narrative in our culture where like you are defined by your vulnerabilities and your shortcomings and all the bad things that have been done to you. You're defined by your mental disorders. You're defined by all these negative markers that we put on ourselves. And the problem with that is that when you take those as an identity, it will lock you into where you are. I did it for years and years and years. For years, I would tell people like, oh, I'm diagnosed with major depressive disorder. I'm diagnosed with a pretty severe anxiety disorder. I just can't do those things. But by accepting those things and thinking that they were blocking off this big picture for me, I refused to take the small steps I could take. When I started doing that, everything changed for me. And so if you don't see immediate opportunities around you, I would encourage you right now, just take a moment and just ask, if I had a wide open mind, if I was positive in my mental outlook, what would I see around me that could really change the world for me? What could I do right now that would get me one step closer to where I want to be? Now, the second thing I see that really traps people and keeps them from doing what they want to do is being stuck in their emotions. Look, I'm not against emotions. I don't believe we should suppress our emotions. I don't think emotions are bad. I was a therapist for a long time, and I've taught meditation for, 12, 13, 14 years now. Both of those things are part of acknowledging our emotions. Like, you got to recognize them. Emotions are going to arise. We are emotional creatures. It's part of being human. You don't want to suppress that. Trust me, you don't want to suppress it. It makes it worse. You don't want to ignore it, but you also don't want to let them run the show. And the one thing that I see that holds a lot of people back is that they make long-term decisions off of their emotions. Now, like the strongest emotion you've ever had won't last more than about a minute if you don't feed it. But as people, we tend to feed it. I get something arises and makes me angry. And I keep feeding that. Why did that dumbass have to drive that way? And why did they look at me like that? And just who do they think they are? This is bullshit. And then that person's gone, but I'll find other things. Why do my kids keep yelling? Why do they just talk so much? They just yap all the time. And oh my God, they didn't take their trash out. So now it's strolling all over the street. I can feed that. And what I've done is I've taken an emotion that would come and go all on its own, and I've turned it into a thing. And what's really dangerous is when we make long-term plans based on that. When we make long-term plans or let our long-term vision be informed by anxiety, by anger, by all those different things, that will keep us from doing what we want to do. That will hold us back because emotions are temporary and fleeting. They matter and we need to pay attention to them, but we can't let them drive the car. Until you learn that is going to hold you back. Now, if you really want to know one thing that holds people back, it's not having a mindset of ownership. I have written about this. I've talked about this. I may have made a podcast about this. I don't know. All this shit runs together when you do it as much as I do it. But having an attitude of ownership, of looking at every situation and saying, okay, what was my role in it and what can I do about it, changes everything. And this is also very countercultural these days. It's so strange to me that something that will remove the obstacles from your life is something that is countercultural. That makes no sense. This should be something we're teaching all of our kids. But until you have a mindset of ownership, until you approach every situation with the attitude of, okay, what can I do about this? What is my responsibility? What is not my responsibility? What is my fault and what is not my fault? Now, the uncomfortable thing in this, the uncomfortable truth is that sometimes something is not our fault, but it's still our responsibility. That might be the most important thing I've learned in 20 years. Because I would just look at things and say, well, it's not my fault, so I'm not going to mess with it. The story I tell often, I've written about it in the newsletter and in the blog. You're sitting at home, hanging out with your friend, and all of a sudden you smell smoke. And you look out the window and you see, man, my neighbor's setting my house on fire. And your friend says, oh my God, let's go put it out. And you say, no, it's not my fault. I didn't set the fire. I'm not putting it out. And your friend says, well, it's not your fault, but it's a fire. And you say, no, I have been nothing but nice to my neighbor. I'm so good to him. I take care of his pets when he's out of town. I don't know why he set my house on fire, but it's not my problem and I'm not going to deal with it. Your house will burn down. Until you learn to have a mindset of ownership in everything, even the things that are not your fault, even the things that are unfair, until you do that, that is going to hold you back. So if you've ever thrown rocks in a lake and you see where the rock hits and then these ripples go out, that's how our life works. And it is amazing how much of our life is made up of small everyday decisions that ripple out into something bigger. And when we ignore those, that is absolutely something that can hold us back and keep us from doing all the things we want to do. Like when you look at somebody whose life has really just become a mess, that mess is a series of small decisions. When I look back on my own life, it became a mess because of small decisions that I made. I made the decision that I was smarter than my parents and I wasn't going to listen to them. I made the decision that I was smarter than adults and I wasn't going to listen to them. I made the decision that I was going to do what I wanted to do and I was going to hang out with who I wanted to hang out with. And then I made other not so small decisions. I decided I'm going to start smoking cigarettes. I'm going to try a beer. I'm going to try these other things. All these little decisions added up into a big problem for me. Now, the cool thing about it is that it was also small decisions that allowed me to start moving out of it. Now, I'll admit, it kind of took a big tragic thing to get me to really take the first step in a different direction. I had to roll a car and get thrown in jail and all this stuff. And that gave me a chance to get some clarity to step away from the situation. But once I got into a new life, I had to start making small decisions. One of the smallest, easiest decisions I made was I started going to the library. Instead of going to a bar, instead of going out, started going to a library. And that was because I thought to myself, what would a smart person do in this situation? A smart person obviously wouldn't go to the bar and get blackout drunk and get thrown in jail. What would a smart person do? And I thought, they'd go to the library. So I went to the library and started reading. That led to this stair step where I eventually, I found a book that was there at a place that got me interested in quantum mechanics, which led me to a book about the intersection of quantum mechanics and Eastern mysticism. And that led me to start meditating. And meditating changed my whole life. It was all just small decisions, though. We see the movies and they jump ahead and everything happens in these big moments. That's not really how life works. So if you are ignoring the small decisions you're making every day to focus on the larger goals that you have, those larger goals are probably never gonna come true. You're never going to accomplish them because you're ignoring all the steps that you need to take to get there. So I have this thing that I do that is, I don't think it's revolutionary. I think a lot of people do it, but I like to name things, and I've started calling it foundational thinking. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, or a good name for it or not. But it's something that I stick to because it keeps me from getting caught up in like letting like little intricate details ruin big decisions for me. And so it would be something like, so I have another office that is just, I mean, literally 2 minutes away. 2 minutes away from my house. I love it. It's affordable. It's got like 8 windows, so I've got natural light. It's a great little spot. And to have it this close to my house means everything to me. I don't like wasting time traveling. I don't like going from one place to another. So minimizing that is huge to me. So because of that, I like my office. And that is something that is foundational in my decisions around my office. So if something were to happen where like, I don't know, somebody else moves in and I don't like them, or the air conditioning is not working for a week, or I don't know, they raise my rent on me. As long as none of those things gets so out of hand, I'm not going to even think about them because I'm not going to leave that office. So I'm not going to bring all these little nitpicky things in that might skew my decision on it. I have the things in life that I know mean the most to me, and I do not compromise on those things, and I do not let myself get pulled into decisions about them. I will never make any decision that will cost me time with my kids. I will never make any decision that would cost me my marriage. And since because I know that, I don't have to think about 10,000 different things. When you know what's foundational to you, when you know what your values are, you do not have to waste a lot of time thinking about other things. That is something that holds so many people back, is they get caught up. They want to make all these they start making all these decisions and they start rethinking things. They rethink things that they decided in a rational state of mind and an intentional state of mind. They rethink them when they are in an irrational, upheaval state of mind. That is a ridiculous thing to do. If you don't want to be held back, if you want to go do the things you do, know what matters to you and hang on to those things and do not let go of them under any circumstances. Always come back to the foundations of what matters to you, and you won't waste your time making a bunch of stupid decisions. So this next one is, I don't know, I hate it because it gets so big on social media and there's all this just like nonsense, feel good, airy-fairy bullshit built around it. But one thing I do see that holds people back in a very profound way is not understanding the importance of gratitude, of getting caught up in complaining and looking at everything as a problem and looking at everything that's wrong. Man, when you do that, you don't have energy. You don't have any forward moving energy. You don't have the resilience you need to step out and do new things. When everything sucks and the world's against you and you can't find anything to be grateful for, that just makes you so brittle. It makes you very brittle, where it doesn't take much to break you. If you can learn to understand the importance of gratitude, of living in it in a genuine way, I'm not talking about toxic positivity and all that bullshit. I am talking about recognizing that in every moment, there is something to be grateful for. And that in every situation, there's something to be grateful for. And in understanding that a vast majority of the time, there is so much more to be grateful for than to complain about. It just shifts your focus. It shifts it from looking back or from looking down at your feet and saying, I don't like this, to looking forward and to taking those steps. Grateful people have an easier time stepping forward and doing things because they're doing it in a world that they believe supports them and around people who support them. Grateful people have more energy. They have more to offer. And that's like a sense of negativity and cynicism. I see that hold people back more than anything else because it's like they have a problem for every solution. No matter what you offer them, they will have a reason why it doesn't work. So if they've already run through in their mind and closed off every option to do better and to change things, of course they're never going to do it. They've closed all the doors around them. And then they bitch that they can't get out of the room. Being invested in gratitude, understanding the importance of gratitude, having an honest and real gratitude for all the good things in this world and in life will propel you forward faster than anything else. All right, so this next thing that holds people back, I'm gonna refer back to my counseling roots, but like not having good boundaries. Not having good boundaries with other people, with the people closest to you, and with yourself will hold you back from doing all the things that you want to do in life. When you don't have good boundaries with other people, when you allow unhealthy people into your life, they will suck your energy and they will bring you trouble. Messy people bring mess with them. There's no way around that. I don't hate them. I actually like them. I get along with them well, but I'm able to do that because I have boundaries. I have boundaries that say, okay, cool. This is our level of relationship. I am not going to let you close enough that you wreck my life or you mess up my kid's life or you mess up my family, because then I will hate you or I will resent you or I won't like you and I will just push you out of my life completely. So we can have this healthy relationship here or we can have no relationship at all. Having those kind of boundaries, it's like the people in your life. There's very few things in the world that are more important than the people you have in your life. Who you choose to marry, who you choose to tie your boat to for the long term, has more impact on your success than anything else. When you tie yourself to the wrong person, or when you allow a toxic person to get close to you and stay there, they will chip away at every good thing you do. They will actually, like, maybe even physically hold you back from going and doing the good things that you want to do, because they know that once you recognize how much better the world is out there without them, they know you're going to leave. So they will do everything they can to drag you down. You have to have those boundaries with people. You have to have boundaries with yourself. You have to have things that you tell yourself. It's just like the foundational thinking. You have to have things that you tell yourself, I won't do that. That is not something that's allowed into my life. I know it is so counter narrative to this, follow your heart and follow your truth and speak your truth and just all that shit that I don't even know what it really means, to say that there are things that you need to be intentional about and saying no to. I have a lot of them. I have a pretty obsessive mind. I am interested in everything. Everything fascinates me. I never see anything that I'm like, oh, that's boring. That's cool. It makes life interesting, but I can also go down rabbit trails. This obsessiveness that I have with doing things and accomplishing things, man, video games can be very dangerous for me. They can be I've talked about it before, about how Skyrim took over my life for a while. These RPG games like, Final Fantasy and stuff, man. I will grind those games until they're not even any fun to play anymore. I have a whole bunch of games I never finished because I over-leveled my characters and it's not fun to play anymore. Because of that, I avoid things like online games, those massive multiplayer online RPG, those things. I avoid those because a game that never ends could absolutely crush me. I avoid starting new shows that I think I'm going to get too caught up in. I avoid any game, and not just the online games, but I avoid any game that I think is going to consume me, because I've recognized that I need to have boundaries with myself in that. I have boundaries in myself with my diet, with my exercise. I have these things that I say, okay, this is not okay. And when I keep those in place, everything is pretty easy. When I keep those boundaries with unhealthy people, everything is pretty easy. If you don't have boundaries, there will be so many things in your life holding you back that you won't even be able to think about taking a step forward. And this next thing that holds people back is it's related to ownership mindset, but it's actually it's more insidious in just not having an ownership mindset. An ownership mindset just kind of looks at things neutral and says like, oh, this is not my problem, so I'm not going to do anything about it. This was not my fault, so I'm not going to mess with it. A victim mindset is absolutely devastating for everything you want to do in life. A victim mindset will tell you that you can't do anything, so there's no reason to try. A victim mindset will cause you to lay down and die when you don't need to. When there are options for you. Victims remain victims. It's what they do. They find ways to victimize themselves. I have seen it over and over and over again. I can't tell you the number of people I encountered over the years who were so invested in being a victim. They took identity from it. It gave them a sense of validation from others. It gave them an excuse sometimes not to take the really hard, scary steps and do the things they needed to do to get better and to thrive. And so a victim mindset just cuts your legs out from you at the very beginning. A victim mindset also, I think one of the most really dangerous things about it is that it doesn't let you take pragmatic action. It doesn't let you look at a situation and say, okay, this is not what I wanted. This might not even be fair, but this is what's going to make things better for me. It won't let you do that because it says, no, this is not fair. And we were treated wrong in this, or this is not how this should have been. This is not our fault, so we're not going to do anything about it. I really, there's a part of me that hates talking about this because I see so many people online talking about it and they are very, what's the word? There's a certain ruthlessness about them, or a heartlessness. And it's a judgment thing. I feel like they really hate the people with a victim mindset. I need you to understand, I don't hate it. I don't hate anybody. I definitely don't hate people who have that. I feel deeply sorry for them. I feel deeply sad for them because that is going to cripple their potential. Something that somebody else did to them a long time ago, or that life did to them a long time ago, has been given authority over their whole entire life. It has been given this power to tell them who they're going to be and what they're going to do. That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. So if you have that, have some compassion for yourself, but also understand that you have to do something to break out of it, because if you have a victim mindset, you will never do the things you are meant to do. So I write about this a lot, and I've always talked about an old man yelling at the clouds. I think it's from The Simpsons, old man yells at clouds. This is me when it comes to the digital distractions that we live in. But once again, when I look at so many promising young people, especially promising young men, I can't name anything that has held them back and kept them from doing the things that they want to do than all the digital distractions of the world. They're scrolling. We all know about scrolling and social media and how that eats up so much of our time. But when you look at video games, when I look at the amount of video games I see young men play, it's like, once again, I don't hate video games. I got no problem with them. I play them sometimes. But 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of video games a day, playing video games until the middle of the night when you got to go to work, playing video games instead of like sleeping with your wife or, spending time with your family. That's a disastrous decision. When you add in things like pornography and the addictive nature of that, and I don't give a shit what anybody has to say. It is absolutely addictive. I saw it as a therapist over and over and over again. I had pornography addiction groups. I have seen what it does to people. When those these digital distractions, when they can really get in your head and they can start to take over, they will hold you back from doing anything because they are such an easy, fun distraction. Why would you go out and take the hard step of exercising or starting a business or trying to get promoted at work or approaching somebody at a bar for a date? Why would you do those hard things when there's thousands of little dopamine hits waiting for you on your phone or on your television? Those things are creating this world where just normal life feels overwhelming and inconvenient. It makes it feel like the things that we have to do just to be alive feel annoying, much less the things that we need to do to thrive. So if you really want to see if you really want to take the chains off yourself, if you really want to be able to just sprint, put down the really heavy backpack full of rocks, remove the digital distractions from your life for a while and see who you are. Give it long enough to get past the withdrawal of not having them, and just notice who you become after a week or two. It's unrecognizable. It's unrecognizable. But if you can't do that, then these digital distractions are going to hold you back your entire life. And then one of the biggest things I see that holds people back, it's one of my favorite things to talk about. If you have followed me for long at all, you have read about this, you have heard about it on this podcast, you've heard about it on the old podcast, you've seen it on my blog. If you've heard me speak somewhere, if you've been to one of the trainings I do for teams and stuff, you've heard me talk about this. Nothing holds you back in the same way as refusing to develop a sense of friendly curiosity. Friendly curiosity cuts through so much of the noise and so many of the problems in life. Friendly curiosity allows you to approach situations with a sense of possibility instead of a sense of restriction or a sense of being attacked or being fearful. It opens up the world in a whole new way. When somebody's talking about something that you don't care about, friendly curiosity lets you say, I wonder what's here. I wonder if there's something that is interesting here. I'm going to find it. When somebody is talking about something you dislike or makes you mad, friendly curiosity turns that inward and say, ooh, why does this trigger me in this way? Why is this stirring me up the way it does? It makes everything in the world a lot less threatening. It takes the sting out of your emotions. It takes the sting out of negative thoughts, because instead of engaging them and believing them, you are looking at them and saying, is this true? And if it's true, what do I do with it? It is just a way of approaching the world with an open heart, not so open that you become stupid. None of us are going to start embracing axe murderers just because it's oh, he's got a bloody axe. I wonder what he's doing with that. Don't be stupid. That's the questions I get sometimes in groups and stuff. No, don't be stupid. I'm definitely not encouraging you to embrace Jason Voorhees walking down the road with a machete, and you won't do that. But what you will find is that for a vast majority of our lives, we live in these schemas and in these concepts, these preconceived notions. And we see somebody and we say, I already know what I need to know about them. They suck. Or this is equally dangerous. We see somebody be ooh, I know all I need to know about them. They're awesome. And I need to listen to them. That's all great till it turns out that person isn't. That allows very toxic people to get very close to you if you're not careful. It allows us to look at our emotions and say, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety right now. Does that mean something's wrong? Does that mean that does that mean I shouldn't be doing this? It just allows us to lean into life in a whole different way. And it changes fundamentally the way we're engaging with the world. So if one of the best things you could possibly do, learn to meditate. Learn to meditate, cultivate a real mindfulness practice, not little informal things like, oh, I'm going to wash the dishes without judgment, or I'm going to walk without my AirPods. Cultivate a formal mindfulness practice. Cultivate a friendly curiosity toward yourself as a human being and watch how that changes the world. That removes so many of the burdens that hold you back. That alone can lead you just into a whole new way of being and a whole new way of life. All right, so there you go. Those are 10 things that I have seen hold people back for just as long as I've been working with people. I saw them hold me back for a very long time. That's where a lot of this like initial investigation came from, me wondering, why does my life suck? Why am I such a miserable person? Why do I keep messing everything up? Why do I bring some degree of destruction everywhere I go? And by recognizing these things and by changing them, it allowed me to change my life. It allowed everything to be different. Take a look at them. There's 10 of them there. There's plenty to work with. See which ones resonate with you. But I will guarantee that the ones that you recognize in yourself, that if you take the time and you have the discipline and the perseverance to deal with them, it will change your whole life. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope that you can look at these things and see what's holding you back and that you can start to let those go. Take care.